Okay, this will be our third video for Chapter 11 in this textbook, Wireless and Mobile Device Security, second edition by Jim Doherty, and we left off down here at 9. We want to talk about this Android open source controversy. You see, Android, unlike its competitors, unlike iPhone, and unlike the Windows Phone Windows Phone is no more, but it has been open source. Open source means that the source code is wide open for anybody to see and to alter for their own purposes. Well, that means that the bad guy could very easily analyze what's going on in the open source software and figure out how to attack it. So this has been a criticism against Android. However, it turns out that the security that was built into Android has been really good. And so this is not really borne out in history as a big problem, but it is still controversial. Android open source analysis and exploitation tools. These are direct out of our book, and it lists these 5 tools that are often used either by the good guy or by the bad guy. AndroRat can be used within apps in order to steal data. Android SDK is the official development kit for the Android OS, and so this is the primary one that you would use to develop and do new developments to the operating system. So obviously you can alter the operating system from it. Droidbox is a password hash theft and SMS message monitoring tool. Android framework for exploitation simply tests and monitors the Android device itself for vulnerabilities in that device and in that OS. And then Risk Android analyzes Android apps, does a risk assessment on them to see if they are safe or not. All right, let's go on to Android stack architecture. It turns out that Android, like iPhone by the way, which we'll see in a little while, has a stack. And this stack is a set of individual units that do different things so that an application has to go to that layer and ask for the phone to do whatever it wants to do. And there are 3 main layers here in this architecture. The security architecture, which manages this whole sandboxing thing that we said earlier, keeps apps separate from each other so that one app can't access the same things that another app can access. For example, your contact list. The Android application architecture manages the user interfaces and the services and the interactions with processes. So it also deals, by the way, with notifications. So it's dealing with all of those interfaces that you're asking the phone to do. Google Play provides a vetted pool of apps, including music, books, games, magazines, movies, and so on. One thing about the Google Play architecture that we want to mention is that Android does not use the walled garden approach. Walled garden means that you can only get your apps from the Play Store. But in the case of Android, you can get apps from things other than the Play Store. So you can download them on your own, and you can sideload them into the phone. There are other repositories besides the Play Store that you can get apps. All right, let's turn our attention now to the iPhone. The iPhone was the first smartphone as we know them today. It was introduced in 2007, not that long ago when you think about it. It was the very first smartphone. We had the BlackBerry and a few other sort of smartphones, but they didn't measure up to what the iPhone did. The iPhone is more like what we think of when we think of a smartphone today. However, the iPhone does use the walled garden approach. So in other words, you can only get apps from the App Store. You can't just download them anywhere and load them on an iPhone. We're going to go into the iPhone layered approach in the next video, and that will be video 4, so we'll see you there.